Attorney Marian Ryan. We are expecting an update from her as well as Billerica Police to shed more light on exactly what has happened here in Billerica today.
Good afternoon.
Let's listen into what she has
I'm
to
going
say.
to give you a little overview. I'll be happy to take some questions, but as you can see, just to manage your expectation, this is a very active scene, so we have a limited amount of information that we're going to be able to give at this point. I'm joined today by Billerica Police Chief Rosa, Fire Chief Tom Conway, Detective Lieutenant Sullivan from my office. At about 10:13 this morning, police received a call of a vehicle that had gone out of control inside the Linway auction. The information that we have at this point indicates that there were several hundred customers as well as a few hundred employees on the property. There was an auction going on, as it does every Wednesday. Cars are moved through the lane so that folks have an opportunity to see them, prepare to bid on the cars. Cars travel a few paces apart. Cars come through, they're seen. A few paces behind that is the next car. A 2006 Jeep Grand Cherokee was waiting to enter, to travel down the lane. The inside of the building has travel lanes alternating with safe lanes where people are able to stand. Red lanes in which the cars drive, blue lanes in which folks are able to stand and look at the cars as they come by. Those blue lanes had a large number of people in that space. As this vehicle began to enter the building, following a pace behind the car in front of it, it suddenly accelerated, traveled through the inside of the building at a very high rate of speed, striking numerous people, and ultimately was brought to a halt by crashing into a cinder block wall at the far end. At this point, we are confirming that one male and two females have died as a result of their injuries. There are another 9 individuals who are at the hospital being treated for injuries, as well as one family member of an individual who is deceased who was transported from the scene as a result of stress and other activity. So we have, of that, we now know that it'd be 8 people with serious injuries and 2 others with life-threatening injuries. They are at various hospitals across the area. We have on scene, obviously, Billerica Police and Fire, as well as the State Police, the cars, the accident reconstruction section of the State Police. This will be a long investigation. As I mentioned, several hundred people on scene. We're in the process of talking to those folks, gathering information about what happened. They'll be doing a reconstruction assessment in terms of the vehicle to rule out any incident issues with the vehicle, anything else that may have contributed to the accident as well. So it's going to be an ongoing and fairly lengthy investigation.
Marian, tell us about the driver. We're told by witnesses he's maybe in his mid-70s. He works there. He may have had some sort of a disability, and then he may have had something happen to him.
What we know about the driver is he is an employee of the company. Only employees are allowed to drive the cars at the auction. Folks are gathering around, looking at them. They're being moved through. They're only being driven by employees. The individual who was driving the car is in his 70s. He was driving the car.
Did he have a medical emergency?
We don't know that. That's part of the things we're going to be looking at in the investigation.
Mary, can you just tell us the driver? I know that you ruled out that this was an intentional act.
The preliminary information we have right now suggests that this is a tragic accident, but obviously the investigation's only only going for about 2 hours.
So would that mean that is there a chance that he hit the wrong pedal and?
We don't know that. We're going to be looking at all of those things. That's all part of the investigation as we dig into the background.
How is the driver? Is he one of the injured? And
He has not been hospitalized.
So does that mean that was not a medical condition?
No, he's just not hospitalized at this point.
Marian, what about the injuries to the people? Can you describe the injuries? Were they head injuries?
From what we know at this point, some people have head injuries, a number of back, leg, torso injuries.
Is the driver being cooperative? And is he, since he wasn't injured, is he able to tell?
It's all part of the investigation at this point.
Does he work here?
I don't know that. A number of years, but I don't know that. I do not have that at this point yet. Some of this information is very new, so I don't have that information yet.
Can you explain where the victims were? You said a male and two females. You know, he accelerated up. I mean, he was in a lane.
So there are lanes across the building. There are red lanes alternating with blue lanes. The red lanes are for the cars. The blue lanes are safe lanes for people to stand in. But obviously people are crossing back and forth because they may be looking at a car that's in lane number 2. So there's a lot of people moving through. The cars are moving across the building fairly slowly, following as you would maybe in traffic, a couple of paces behind each other. As cars exit one end of the garage, other cars are being brought through. So there were folks struck in both the red and the blue lanes, both people crossing and people standing on the sidelines, if you will.
And as we understand, both inside and outside.
No, it's inside. Well, there were people outside, but to look at the cars, primarily people would be inside looking at those cars.
So all the victims struck were struck inside the building?
We don't know that yet. If there may be folks who were close to the other side of that wall who were injured as well. We're looking at all of that.
From the distance he traveled, one witness said about 80 yards inside that warehouse. Is that true?
It's the length of the warehouse. I don't know the length of that length, but it's a fairly long building. I mean, a number of cars could line up
Is 80
the length of the car.
a fair estimate? Is that an accurate
80 yards.
length of a football field?
Yeah, probably about a football field. We're looking at all that. We have reconstruction here.
Can you say anything about the first responders?
There are always officers, both fire officers and police officers, who are here on Wednesdays for the detail, working details for the auction, because it draws such a large crowd. So there were, in fact, probably about 4 police officers and at least 1 fireman here working details. As you can see, this was a coordinated response. The chief will speak to that. People from a number of departments responding to help both in controlling the scene and obviously assisting the injured.
Do you have video of the accident?
That's all part of the investigation as we gather all of that. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Rosa.
Thank you very much. I'm not in a position to answer any questions about the incident. I just want to extend our sympathies to the community, to the Linway employees, and especially to the victims and victims' families here. This is a very tragic incident. Again, preliminary information would tell us that this was an accident. We're very grateful for the mutual aid help that we received from many communities around us in the greater Lowell area. Bedford, Tewksbury, Wilmington, Chief, how many other communities? Burlington, Chelmsford. Just want to especially reach out to those communities and thank them for their assistance. This was a large and chaotic scene, and a lot of bystanders around, so it was a very chaotic scene. We just want to thank all those other first responders who assisted us in this incident today.
Chief, any accidents here before? Have there been any incidents that you had to respond to?
That'll all be part of the investigation.
Who has oversight for this facility here, like in terms of safety and things like that? Who's the person that has oversight?
Well, all workplaces are controlled by OSHA. So all workplaces, the safety of those folks are controlled by OSHA. So obviously we appreciate your patience. If there is anything significant happens, we'll provide new information. But this is going to be a fairly long, ongoing investigation. Thank you.
Okay, we've been listening in here to the District Attorney Marion Ryan, as well as Billerica Police Chief Daniel Rosa, just giving us an update on what has happened this morning at the Linway Auto Auction. They have now